Welcome back to Athletic Everyday, day number 235. So I started out today's session with a little bit of mobility in the matting area, which is kind of what the matting area is designed to be used for. It's what all of the athletics club will generally come to this area and do. And there's also a really nice wall nearby where you can do some wall slams with med balls. So yeah, mobility first. Really missed this a lot in my training, and it is nice just to have some time at the start of the session to do this. Intention today was to do some jumps, broad jumps and single leg broad jumps, and I did those in the sandpit because it was quite nice to not have to worry about having to get excessive amounts of strain going through my knees. Obviously my quad tendon is still a little bit tender at the moment, so being able to minimize the loading from the landing of jumps is quite nice. So doing that in sand or doing it onto a box, if that's the case with vertical jumps, then that can also be quite useful. So I measured the best jump that I did today with a tape measure was 10'3" on standing broad jump. I think that's probably one of the best I've ever done. And then for like a two-step single leg broad jump, I guess you could call this, I don't know what exactly you'd call this, two-step approach single leg broad jump. I managed to get a little bit further, as you can see. But with a run up, you're always going to get a little bit further than you do without. Yeah. And then I practiced some Websters onto a mat here, and you're about to see one of the best bails you'll ever see. Because on this stepper here, I tried to step backwards onto it, and it completely fell out from underneath me and I landed straight on my head. So it's a good job I did this onto a mat, otherwise I may have broken my neck. So it always looks fun to watch the bails back. But then I did manage to land one relatively cleanly onto the mat, so that's quite nice. Then I moved into some clean and jerk because I haven't really focused on clean and jerk much in my training at the moment. I always do the snatch first and then I'm like, I'm going to run out of energy. What's the point? I'll just sort of do minimum effective dose for the cleans. But I figured today I would just do clean and jerks and then snatch pulls afterwards so that I could really focus on my form and work on just getting slightly heavier weights for the clean and jerks. So for today, I worked up to a top set of 110 kilos. I was trying to see if I could get a double with clean and jerk with 110, but my body wasn't feeling completely fresh today. It was feeling a lot fresher the other day when I did all those clean complexes, but today 110 was definitely my limit for the clean and jerk. So I actually even bailed on one rep of 110. So that just goes to show that freshness, feeling well rested, making sure that your body's fully recovered is as important when you're doing a lift that's as difficult as a clean and jerk. When it comes to snatching, because the weight is generally a lot lighter, you can sort of do it when you're a bit less fresh, I find. It is a slightly more explosive movement, but I think it's a little bit more forgiving when it comes to freshness. Obviously, technique is a little bit more important in the snatch. You can sometimes just muscle up a clean. You generally can't do that in the snatch. But so it just goes to show that on cleans, you really want to make sure that you're fresh because it's a lot more of a bulky lift. There's a lot more to it. There's two components, obviously the clean and the jerk. So you need to make sure that you're fully recovered and fully fresh. So I was doing a few sets of 2 with 100 kilos here, which is what you're watching now. And they felt pretty snappy. The jerks felt really good on 100 kilos. But what I've noticed more and more often, more and more I watch back my cleans, is how much the bar is getting away from me after the contact with the clean. Which suggests that I'm not getting underneath the bar enough in the contact position, because if I'm underneath the bar, then that means when I make contact and I get triple extension, the bar is going to go more or less vertically. It's going to displace more vertically than horizontally. But when the weights get heavier, I generally think that in order for me to get enough force into the bar, I'll just try and hit it as hard as I can with my thighs, but that's not the way that you're supposed to do cleans. And I'll often tend to miss cleans forwards. I'll almost never miss them backwards. People very rarely miss cleans backwards, but the bar gets too far away from me and I can't, because I don't jump my feet forwards, I'll be either ending up on my toes or I'll just be ditching the bar out in front, which means that I need to work on pulling the bar in closer and actually getting underneath it more with my thighs so that I can then push the bar more directly upwards and then pull vertically upwards into the bar. So here is probably the best clean and jerk of the day, 110, kept my heels on the floor for this one, and then the jerk was also pretty nice as well. Decently solid, a little bit off balance, but we'll take that today, considering all of the how fresh my body was. And then 4 sets of 3 snatch pulls, keeping the weight the same. What's nice about doing clean and jerks first is that the snatches will feel quite easy afterwards, especially if you're doing the full lift. So that was quite nice, and the strength for the snatch is going to be there, and just shows me, it reminds me actually that I need to be doing more clean pulls, because if you go back and watch those cleans, the bar was pulling so damn slowly off the floor, and then the rest of the lift moves decently fast. So that just does suggest, for me at least, that there is a little bit of weakness in the starting position. So starting strength, pulling the bar off the floor and getting it to the knees, and that will then put me in a better position once the bar is past my knees to keep the bar a little bit closer. So potentially even doing some halting clean grip deadlifts or clean grip pulls could be very useful for that, for building that isometric strength and also being able to maintain good positions pulling off the floor, not letting the extra weight of the bar sort of crumple your body out of position. So decently good clean session overall, pretty decently happy with that. And then lastly I decided that I would do some suitcase deadlifts, not particularly heavy, just to get a little bit of core stability work in. Really hate doing these because every time I pick up the bar, it doesn't matter where I put my hand, the bar always becomes uneven because of just the uneven point of contact with the bar, and the fulcrum being never perfectly in the middle, so the bar will always rotate one way or the other. So the logic behind doing these is to train my back to be stable, lifting off the floor, stable in that frontal plane, because sometimes that can happen. You don't often have to worry about stabilizing in the frontal plane if you're doing a sagittal plane dominated movement like a clean or snatch, squat or a deadlift. So it can be useful to tax or train the body that way as well, to maintain stability in the frontal plane. And then lastly, I just did a couple sets of good mornings to get a little bit of posterior chain focus working. Nice hinging movement pattern here. Really focusing on trying to let up the hamstrings and strengthen the back. Okay, that is pretty much it for today's workout, guys. Really appreciate the views, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video.